Hi everyone, my name is Mitch and I'm the CEO here at Join It. Today we're joined by John, who comes from Camp Adirondack, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Gottfried. I am the board president of Camp Adirondack. We are a nonprofit, radically inclusive camp and conference center in upstate New York in the Adirondacks. We've been around for almost 70 years, providing programs for children and adults to learn how to live in community, take advantage of the incredible natural surroundings that we have here, and ultimately build a better, more inclusive world.
Amazing. Well, we're thrilled to have you join us. Let's start at the very beginning. So before you came to Join It, what were you using for membership software? How are you managing the process? I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so as a nonprofit, we are governed by our members, and we've had members for most of the 70 years we've been around. And so you can imagine that there have been a lot of different ways of handling it over the years, from literal books written in, pen and paper, all the way through Excel spreadsheets, and now Join It. Directly before adopting Join It, we were managing most of our memberships through a combination of QuickBooks and Excel spreadsheets on the hard drive of our director. It was an incredibly inefficient process, and really, we were looking for a solution that made it a modern experience to actually be a member of our organization and to allow more people to engage in the process of working with our members.
Amazing. Excellent. And I know this is a while ago now, a few years, but do you remember how you came across Join It?
That's a great question. I think I originally found Join It by Googling around. When you look for tools for nonprofits, you always happen upon these super expensive enterprise level tools that are, really not feasible for a small nonprofit to adopt. And so we put a lot of time into finding things that were both, you know, I don't want to say simple, but we put a lot of time into finding things that were, within our capabilities, our technical capabilities to set up and use and, rely on, but also fit in, sort of the financial constraints that we had as an organization. And, there's not a ton of options, and Join It like pretty quickly rose to the top. It was user friendly. It was intuitive when we started setting up our account, and ultimately it made sense for what we were trying to accomplish.
Excellent. Thank you so much for saying that. As a founder, there's really no higher compliment than someone calling your software intuitive. Something that I found, and with previous jobs as well, you can always build more features and you can always add more things to the platform. So building complex software is actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
You just keep adding to it, but keeping something intuitive. So it's actually my favorite compliment to hear. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very true. Like a lot of nonprofit software is death by a thousand features, and that is incredibly daunting for a mostly volunteer team to manage, right?
Yeah.
Um, you don't want to, need someone with like a PhD to set up your donation or membership software.
Yeah. Or if they have to take a class before they can complete a task or look up a help center article for every single thing, it really burdens a volunteer team.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about the team that supports your organization. Is it mainly folks that just help out on weekends or whenever they get a free hour, or how do they manage?
Yeah. Unirotic actually has 3 full-time staff, a lot of seasonal staff over the summer when our programs are really in high gear, and then a 9-person board of directors who are sort of acting as our lead volunteers as well. Beyond the board, there are a lot of community members who volunteer for various things, everything from, doing donor outreach all the way through literally repairing a toilet at camp. We see it all, and it really is kind of a labor of love from the
Yeah.
folks in the community.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how about for the individual or individuals that are responsible for membership? Is that just a few folks within the organization, or how many are logging into the Join It system and using it?
Membership is typically led by the board members. Um, you know, Historically, it's honestly been really difficult for us to recruit new members because the process to become a member was really manual. So what you used to have to do is like email someone and mail in a check, and then they would enter your details into a spreadsheet, and then you would get a letter once a year about the status of your membership. Once we switched to Join It, we were actually able to start doing like calling campaigns where we could sign someone up on the phone. We were able to, send email blasts to our members, which sounds like a really simple thing to do, but it wasn't previously. And we were able to actually like take advantage of more volunteer time to build our membership base, simply because the process to actually like onboard someone and get their payment set up was significantly more self-service. And so it gave a lot more for our board to do.
Amazing. Love to hear it. And how about for when you add the efficiency to the process, you're able to bring more people? Did you see membership grow?
The big change that we saw was actually in reducing churn. So we did add a lot of new members, but being able to have a modern billing system with renewal reminders, auto renewals, all of the things that Join It does, made it so that we weren't going back to the same people every year asking them to renew their membership. It just happened.
Yeah.
And because we have pretty deep connections with our member base, people don't frequently cancel. They want to be members for a long time. And now we didn't need to bug them about it. They would just be happy to see that charge once a year.
Amazing. That's so wonderful to hear because, yeah, the more engaged your members are, the more they feel invested and the more likely they are to stick around. So from that, are you guys using the automatic recurring billing, or is it that folks get the renewal reminder and then renew manually?
The vast majority of our members use auto recurring billing. We have a small number of people that have it not automatic, but they get the reminders every year. But we really pushed the auto billing because it makes the process easier for everyone involved.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's so good to hear because some nonprofits have struggle adopting that if they haven't done it in the past because board approval or it's just requires a change to their bylaws. But it's the most impactful thing that an organization can do because there's a lot of members that want to stick around, but they forget or it just isn't top of mind and then they churn and then they just kind of never come back. But it's not intentional. It's just kind of the setup they have. So wonderful that you guys have adopted that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is a situation that's common to a lot of small nonprofits, but you don't have this mass mainstream donor base. You have a small dedicated group of people that really care about your organization. And so what ends up happening is you're asking the same people to donate or become members every single year. And you certainly grow that over time, but you have your core group, and not having to ask them for money every year, just being able to charge their credit card and thank them and have them feel the positive feelings without the ask was a huge difference.
Yeah, wonderful. So one of the things about Join It is we think about how to describe ourselves to potential customers because a lot of potential customers that find us, they don't necessarily know what they're looking for. So I'd be interested if you were to explain the Join It system and the benefits to a friend who hasn't heard of Join It before. How would you do that?
I would say that Join It is the easiest to use way to actually build a paid membership base for your organization or nonprofit.
Wonderful. Excellent. That is something we toy with a lot where it's membership software, but it's also like a community building platform or, it helps organizations achieve their cause and go to the purpose of their organization. And we're doing our job if we kind of get out of the way and, we take care of that part. And then the organization can really go towards its mission, which is fantastic. Good to hear. Yeah. Another thing I'd be curious about is your experience with our payment processing partner, Stripe. A lot of organizations might not have adopted it yet, so I'd be curious how it's gone for you.
Honestly, having Stripe integration was a big selling point for us to use Join It. We had already started using it for things like donations and even some of our program fees. The thing that's really compelling about it is we can have the same credit card processing software across many different tools that we were leveraging. There were other things that came up in our search for membership where we would be required to switch to their own payment processing system. And that creates a lot of accounting headache and also just like liability and setup burden that we didn't want to deal with. And so being able to literally plug and play the existing billing provider that we had was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that's maybe implied, but you didn't explicitly say, is that with Stripe, it's also exportable in the sense that if you did leave Joinit one day because of XYZ reason, you're able to take that payment data with you, those customer records, those tokenized payment methods. And I think this actually has a benefit to it because it makes us earn your business every year. Every year that you renew, you don't stick with us because you have to. You stick with us because we work hard to keep you loyal to the platform by delivering new features, providing wonderful customer support, because we know that you could leave. And that also applies to the way we do our package fees. There's no long-term contracts or there's no setup fees. Folks will sign up and use the software, and they could leave it every time, but we earn their business and keep them on the platform and to stay.
Yeah. I mean, not being locked into something makes it a more attractive option to stick
Yeah.
with. And I completely agree. Like not having like an arduous setup fee and process, made us more likely to try it, and it made it a much easier pitch to the staff and the board because, I wasn't asking them for $10,000 to get started. I was asking them to risk, a couple of months like of a SaaS software, right? And that just made it an easy sell.
Excellent. Love to hear it. Are there any like wish lists? Like if you had a magic wand and you could have us focus on either an area of the product or a specific feature, what would you have us do?
That's an interesting question. One thing that I've been that honestly the camp has been working on, but I've also been thinking about a lot recently is more CRM integrations,
Yeah.
which I'm sure is something you've heard before, but like, they're not going for something like Salesforce, but I know we've been looking at DonorDoc, which has been getting pretty big in the space.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's some other smaller CRM type tools where, you want to be able to like sync data where it's like members, donors, program participants, like all of these things in one place.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I think about. You could probably do it through Zapier, but it might be a little less seamless.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think-
And I know you guys have some CRM features, but it's not like entirely the same thing.
Yeah.
And our kind of philosophy is like we want to be the source of truth for membership. But if an organization, as most do, have a broader like catch-all for contacts because they need to track donors, participants, like you said, then that will never be us. So we should integrate with another platform. Like we do have folks that use Salesforce, like some of our bigger clients on the top end, and they'll either do custom integration through our webhook product or Zapier. And but we should look at others.
Yeah. And I mean, I just see it feels like a very natural like feature, right? To have a CRM integration.
Yeah.
The other thing that we had every year that was kind of like a weird thing for us is, and I don't remember if you guys support this, but we have organizational members. So it's not a group and it's not an individual. It's literally like an organization that is a member of an organization. And I don't know if that's an edge case that's unique to us, but that was one thing where it was like a little weird trying to like define how we set that up.
Yeah. We do have the group registration, but how does organization differ from a group? I'm sure there's nuances on the different behavior. So I'd love to hear maybe if you just described what goes into an organization membership.
Yeah, like what I remember about the group one is that you still had to have like, and this is gonna be weird, but like still had to have like individuals associated with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have an organization where it's like literally there's just like an email for their board. So like it's a like the camp, it's a Unitarian summer camp, right? And so they have like these congregations that are sometimes members of the organization. And there may not be a single person there. It might literally be like the board gets an email once a year with a bill for membership.
Yeah.
And so like that is one thing where like I think we've entered some of them in as like just the organization name, as if that's like the first last name. But
Yeah.
it's always like a little bit I don't know, like hodgepodge.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting because we do have like chamber of commerces, for example, like they have businesses instead of individuals. Um, I've never heard of it
Yeah,
not
it might
having
be a
like
weird
a
edge
point
case.
of, yeah, but I mean there are things that we could do to our group feature, and we have improved it in the past year, but to make that a little better, because what we did about 2 years ago was we built out the feature a bit more so that now there is like a group object that associates individual memberships, but it's more of a back end thing. It doesn't, where it's like if we showed that on the checkout and you weren't building a membership, but you were building the group, which is like actually how it's behaving in the back end, that would make more sense in some cases. That's good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was imagining. Um, the only other thing, and this is kind of like I don't know if this is something you've seen elsewhere, but one of the things we thought about at one point in time was like having some kind of like, in our case, like a Facebook group or something that we put members in automatically.
Yeah.
Um, we still can do it manually, but I don't know if that's a thing you've seen with other folks where it's like literally having like some kind of social network or social media automation for members.
Yeah. We have an integration with Slack, which proves to be quite popular. But like I looked at the Facebook API docs for a while, and there's something that kept me. I don't know if it wasn't possible or if it just wasn't very like obvious, or like maybe something about the invitations or the permission
Yeah.
to send invitations that kept me from doing it. But yeah, I would love that. And I this wouldn't apply here, but for we've considered like Discord as well, because that seems to be a more popular than Slack. And then I've looked at like Telegram as well, because that seems to be getting more popular as people, I guess it depends on the profile of the group. But yeah, we like, because I have zero interest in building like the member to member communication platform.
Yeah.
Like we want to be like the membership record, the payment, the emails and that, but no forum software, member to member chat, anything like that. So integration is definitely the route that we go.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, uh, how much of your like member stuff these days is like nonprofits versus like community memberships?
Yes, our our biggest category is professional associations. So those would be like the nonprofit, um, and then we have like a lot of like how homeowner associations are a pretty popular category. And then we have like a lot of generic nonprofits, whether they're like environmental or like we have an LGBT bars association and things like that. Um, and then, but we do have quite a few businesses. Like we have nightclubs, and we have we're talking to a music venue in New York at the moment. So yeah, it's a whole gamut. Something that I haven't done is we haven't niched down to a specific category, which is like a bit counterintuitive. Some people would be like, you should do that. You should really focus. But I'm kind of playing the Eventbrite approach, because that's where I worked before this, where they did a very horizontal play. But it was very clear who the best customer is. It's like if you sell general admission tickets between 100 and 500 attendees, and you need to charge like 3 different ticket tiers, Eventbrite's the perfect fit. And we're kind of a similar vibe. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of platforms recently where it's like almost like the blog membership. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, like yeah, there's definitely like 2 flavors of membership software, where there's like one I would call like it's about gated content, or like online community, where one's like the other one's about like offline associations. Even if you're not meeting up offline, it's still like you go to an annual conference, or and we play in that area, because there's like make or member space, Patreon, yeah, all those.
That's cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John. This is fantastic. I really enjoyed you joining us today. We love serving you as a customer, and I hope to continue the conversation another time.
Yeah, thanks for building Join It.
Excellent. Thank you.